Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Once again, this is Adrian Beck. I'm a senior at Redlands High School, and I'm the founder of Framework Tutoring. So today we're going to go into the third video of our Week 1 series, where we're just going to go over the introduction to the grammar section. So let's get started. The table of contents is pretty similar to the reading section overview. We're just going to go over the actual test, the organization, the question types, and what you can expect. All right, grammar section overview. The SAT grammar section is the second part of your entire exam. It involves 44 questions and 4 passages, which you must finish within 35 minutes. Like I said in the introduction video, that seems like a lot of questions for a little time, but the grammar questions are usually a lot more straightforward and fast-paced than the reading section. Each passage is around 400 to 450 words, which means you have around 1 minute per question, including the passage, and they'll be based on a variety of topics, and each of them have 11 questions. All right, so the structure of the grammar section. Grammar section passages are either narrative or argumentative. Narrative passages have the aim of telling a story. They can either be fiction or nonfiction. Basically, the way that I'm able to determine this, this isn't super important, but it's good to know, is that narrative essays or narrative sections have one person or a group of people trying to tell you something or to give you information. Their goal isn't to convince you, it's just to tell you. Argumentative passages, on the other hand, do try to convince you. They want to persuade a reader towards a certain side of an issue. And certain passages on the grammar section will also have graphics and tables, and they can be both in narrative or argumentative, but they're usually in argumentative because graphics are kind of good to support evidence. Topics that can be covered include science, humanities, history, and more. The grammar section's topics are usually a lot more broad than the reading section. All right, question types. Grammar questions can be classified as expression of ideas or standard English conventions. The first is the expression of ideas. These questions will ask you to analyze the author's work and either keep it the same or make it better based on a fluidity, grammar, or organization. So if you've ever taken the grammar section, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, they'll usually give you a phrase, a sentence, or a word that's underlined, and they'll tell you that you have 4 answer choices. You can either keep it the same or change it in 3 ways. Your goal is to either keep it the same because it's the best way to format the sentence or the word, or find the actual best way to do it. The second type is called the standard English conventions question. These questions just deal with your basic grammar rules, so periods, commas, semicolons galore, and we'll definitely go over these most important rules during this entire course. Also, some questions in the grammar passage will ask you to identify a certain piece of information on a graphic and use it in the passage. So sometimes you'll have to look on a graphic and see whether it presents information correctly or whether it's used in the right way. All right, last slide, general strategies. These are some things that a lot of students that have had success on the grammar section use. The first is don't read everything. Unlike the reading passage, where understanding an entire passage is actually really important, many grammar questions don't actually require full knowledge of the exam. Because a lot of the questions will just ask you about a specific sentence or a specific area. So it doesn't hurt too much to just skim the passage and just read the most important parts, which will give you a general overview of the passage. Just a disclaimer, if you just don't feel comfortable skipping parts of the passage, feel free to read the entire passage. The SAT is a mental game. Whatever makes you the most comfortable and most confident is what you should be doing. Second, your gut is often right. There's a reason a lot of people say that the grammar section is the easiest section of the SAT. It's because you've learned English your whole life. You've read books, you've had your teachers, so you have a basic idea of if a sentence just doesn't sound right. So if you're really stuck on a question and you don't remember the grammar rules and you have 2 questions that are left, honestly, going with your gut will give you the right answer a significant amount of the time. So stay focused. Now, the third tip is say it out loud. This is also true for the reading section, but I think especially more for the grammar section. Now, obviously, you can't yell during the SAT. It's important that you keep a quiet environment for everyone else. But something that I did when I was taking the actual SAT is I would mutter, like really softly, a sentence or a word under my breath to see if it passes the ear test. Because for me, when I say something, I'm more likely to analyze it better, so I would just say a sentence and be like, does that make sense with this answer choice? And that actually helped me get through a lot of questions. So yeah, those are just some general strategies. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.